now. The launch on this pursuit is a catalytic converter theft, and we believe the suspects inside the vehicle, whether it be one or two or three people, we have no idea at this point, but they were actually throwing the catalytic converter parts out of the window. The CHP confirming tonight. It looks like the CHP unit is getting a little closer to this car right now.
So,
yeah, in fact,
we're following a chase right now. So I'm here. So it's the weekend.
In Los Angeles, it's spring evening.
Listen.
A lot of people out and about. We obviously have some of those COVID. Oh, he's going to get caught. No. What was that car doing on the right-hand part of your screen?
Looks like it was just pulled over.
Or maybe they were trying to assist. We see that so many times, Susie, that somebody out there thinks that they can help slow down a pursuit vehicle when they see it coming. We do not recommend that, of course, but we've seen that over and over. I'm not sure if that's exactly what was happening.
You know, I wonder if it's just a natural inclination to pull over to the right, you know, with sirens and, you know, lights behind you. Yeah.
Yeah, this driver of this SUV still without his headlights on. CHP is now, Sergeant, getting a little closer up to the side of the vehicle. So let's talk a little bit about the strategy there. CHP, as you mentioned before, they don't mess around. They want to pit maneuver this individual as fast as they can, but at highway speeds, they really don't do that, do they?
No, and that's why he gets closer as the speeds decrease.
Yeah.
And if the opportunity is there, he will try to pit him again. But some of the factors that they have to consider in a pit is also the surrounding vehicles, all the innocent vehicles that are there, because when you do a pit, the vehicles spin out of control, and you don't want a vehicle spinning out of control and hitting a driver's door or causing injury to the innocent people that are around them. So most of the time on the freeways like this, they'll avoid doing the pit maneuver.
And what do you think right now in terms of strategy? Are they just going to go until this person runs out of gas?
They could. If you'll notice, he's back in the area where the original pursuit started. I had heard that it might have been Anaheim PD. Or one of the surrounding cities from there. So they usually tend to return back where they're familiar with, and, you know, that could be the area that they were committing these crimes. They'll have Anaheim PD or the surrounding police departments ready, and they'll know the direction of travel of the suspect vehicle. I just see they threw out some more stuff there. But usually the two departments won't combine on the pursuit. CHP likes to handle pursuits with their personnel and their vehicles and not have other people involved. So once CHP picks up the pursuit, it's usually just CHP in the pursuit.
We're going to talk about March Madness. We've got basketball, and then we also have this pursuit going on in Los Angeles right now. This is going to be 3 suspects wanted for stealing catalytic converters. Susie, can you imagine the parts that they're throwing out onto the highway at highway speeds? If those things bounce up, they could, you know, go into a windshield.
Sure,
they could
pieces
obviously
of metal,
damage a
hard
car.
metal,
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's in a convertible or maybe a sunroof or just a window open, it could certainly do a lot of damage. We haven't had any reports of that yet. Just throwing metal out onto the highway at highway speeds could lead to all sorts of injuries and dangerous driving and people trying to stop. And as we take a look here, that is a CHP unit that is following this driver. 3 inside that SUV. Again, they're driving
3 people inside that SUV. They've been following this vehicle for hours now since the police started this chase.
Apologize for that, but it sure looked like
they just this chase started nearly an hour ago.
There was a second unit there. Those officers
and they have witnessed the past over the last thing going on. They've been chasing that vehicle for the last 10 to 15 minutes or so, and they've seen the driver going at a high rate of speed, picking up some speed, slowly going at a high rate of speed. To be honest,
thieves of a catalytic converter, and we're talking about how they were throwing pieces of it out the window. I want to ask Mr. O'Malley just about the prosecution side of this. When this happens, when they're throwing pieces of evidence out
of the window of the car,
are they going to gather those pieces later and use them as evidence and say, hey, you did steal this? There is evidence of it?
Yes, they will. And if you had, you know, cameras behind this pursuit, you would also see CHP doing traffic breaks and, you know, recovering all of the property that's being thrown out. The problem with catalytic converter thefts, and I'm not sure if you've seen it, is they're doing a lot of etching. Police departments are doing etching where you can get your VIN number etched on these catalytic converters. because the problem is for the prosecution side of this is identifying who the victims of all this property are. And when you put 10 catalytic converters next to each other, nobody will be able to identify their catalytic converter. And so this pursuit here, if it's just catalytic converters, it's a very complex investigation when it comes down to it, and trying to track down all the victims and the cities that they were stolen from, the vehicles that they were stolen from. But they worry about that after the pursuit and after they get the suspects in custody.
So this is a Friday night here in Los Angeles. This is the city's latest pursuit. CHP, at least 2 units behind a large SUV, 3 suspects inside, wanted for catalytic converter thefts in Orange County. We believe that was in Costa Mesa. We had mentioned that Costa Mesa police initially intercepted them doing this. They were caught red-handed. We believe 2 thefts in Orange County. And then CHP got involved once they got onto the highways. We believe that the LA Sheriff's Department chopper is overhead. On the right-hand part of your screen will show some of the more aggressive driving, Susie. And we actually did not make it in time to see some of the more aggressive driving the wrong way at one point in time on the 22 freeway, we understand, and possibly we heard of a blown tire, although I don't know if that's the case with the fact that it's going as fast as it's been going lately.
Mr. O'Malley, are you surprised that they're still chasing this person on the ground?
I'm not surprised with California Highway Patrol. That's they're more of an aggressive agency when it comes to their pursuits. They will, as long as it's not super dangerous, they will stay on the vehicle, and they just like to chase it until the end.
Okay, well, this is Patrick O'Malley, Sergeant, retired police sergeant, who's joining us to bring us up to speed on what is happening here. These are 3 suspects, catalytic converter theft, inside that Chevy Tahoe. Of course, the reason for these catalytic converter thefts is, as the sergeant mentioned, was a lot of these thieves could take those to those salvage yards where they will get money for them. There's precious metal inside. That's the motivation for these people to do it. It's quick money. They turn it around. And unfortunately, those salvage yards are actually taking those catalytic converters. But this is a pursuit where we've seen at least 1 pit maneuver by CHP. For the last 10 to 15 minutes, it's just been following those 3 suspects inside that SUV on the highway, mainly I-5. As they go back into Orange County here in the Santa Ana Freeway. I don't have the exact location, but it's southbound. We were northbound at one point in time, Susie, when they turned around, failed pit, and they got back on the highway. But we know more aggressive maneuvers have occurred earlier by these pursuit suspects and going the wrong way on a freeway. And we've seen them go on the right hand or on the right shoulder at high speeds, going in between vehicles at one point in time, almost losing control of the highway. But it has calmed down just a little bit. I wonder if it's because maybe the traffic is not quite as heavy.
You always wonder why they go back to where it all began. You know, was it just by accident, by chance, that they happened to get off that freeway for a minute and get pitted and then didn't work, so they headed back on the southbound side? Or is there, by design, is that something that they actually planned? But right now, driving very dangerously, we've seen speeds upwards of 90 some miles per hour without the headlights on. And if you are driving on the freeway right now, obviously, I mean, it's very dangerous because you don't see this car coming, when it's dark like this outside, and they are going at high rates of speed. But, when you talk about the CHP behind you like this, you would think that might add some sort of, a little fire, to them, because obviously they're getting that pressure from the CHP units behind them and the air units and the airships above. And as Mr. O'Malley was talking about, sometimes that is what agencies will do. Sometimes they have different protocols, different agencies like the CHP, different police departments across Southern California have different protocols when it comes to pursuits. But as Mr. O'Malley was talking about, the CHP more aggressive with their pursuits. They will usually continue with pursuits until the person either runs out of gas or they really can't chase them any longer.
That's right. Let's go back to Sergeant Patrick O'Malley. Sergeant, a situation like this, we've seen this so many times before, where a guy gets a lull in this pursuit after more aggressive driving. I would assume that that's okay with police, to just have them going the same direction in a highway, not on side streets, not endangering as many people. I would assume that police are okay to just kind of follow this until it leads them to an opportunity to end it, right?
we want them
Yeah,
opportunity,
Jeff, and
the opportunity to end the
there's less
pursuit
traffic,
peacefully.
and you can see that the units are laid back just a little bit. It just really makes the pursuit, look that much more relaxed. There's not as much traffic. The suspects aren't swerving in and out of all the cars. The speeds went down for a little bit, down in the lower 80s.
Much
Still
traffic.
up almost to 100
Upper,
now, but
lowers 80s.
it's nice that they're in
Up
an area
almost
that
200
there's not as much
now.
traffic, and
We have some.
this may be the time that they lay back so that the suspects aren't really paying attention much, and then they try to get a spike strip in place also. So they'll get several helicopters up there to follow each of the occupants of the vehicle if they were to bail. But boy, in this price of gas era that we're in now, and the type of people you're chasing here, I just can't imagine that there's a lot of gas left in this vehicle.
Yeah, Jeff, you were talking about, possibly damage being caused by flying objects on the freeway, and we were mentioning how they were throwing parts of the catalytic converter out the window, possibly trying to get rid of some evidence. Well, we are just getting word into our newsroom right now that one of the catalytics, or parts of the catalytic converter, actually hit a CHP cruiser, and now they're calling a tow truck to help the cruiser that was damaged by the flying objects. So you were certainly right about that, Jeff. Certainly getting dangerous as they do something like that. I mean, we're not just talking about high speeds and driving erratically, but we're talking about things flying out the window, and not only dangerous for CHP officers, obviously, but everyone around them.
Well, once those things hit the ground and then they pop up, I mean, think of the velocity. When you're going highway speeds, they could just ping off of cars and windshields and whatnot. On the right-hand part of your screen, okay, we're going to show you the part where they're throwing out you see the sparks? On the right-hand part of your screen, that's the inset box. That is going to be where they throw out some of the parts. See, look at the trail of sparks in between the CHP cruiser and that suspect vehicle. Obviously trying to get rid of the evidence. We might be able to get another shot here of them throwing out probably parts of those catalytic converters that they stole. We understand that Anaheim police caught them in the middle of committing these crimes, actually caught them red-handed, removing a catalytic converter in the Costa Mesa area. Overhead is not the LASD chopper, as I mentioned. I need to make a correction. I understand Anaheim police helicopter is overhead. That makes sense since that is the jurisdiction where this all began. So you see that, Sergeant, that pursuit vehicle is getting up ahead quite a bit.
Getting up ahead.
Tell me, would CHP be worried about losing him in this traffic at all, you think?
It's almost getting midnight.
I'm sure that they have at least Anaheim's helicopter if it hasn't been released by Orange County Sheriff.
It's almost getting midnight.
Or their own CHP helicopter at this point. I'm sure that their biggest fear, like you said, is
midnight.
Like when you're throwing catalytic converters out of a car, it's like throwing bombs at vehicles.
Sunday
one of those goes
tomorrow.
through a windshield, and that's basically assault with a deadly weapon that could kill somebody. So it kind of brings the whole pursuit to a different level in terms of making people aware that the pursuit is coming and trying to keep the area
with a higher
behind the vehicle clear so that somebody else doesn't get hurt. So that might have been why they backed off for a little while too, because that vehicle got damaged by the catalytic converter that was thrown out.
And speaking of which, a CHP officer who's back in Norwalk now on the 5 freeway, as we were talking about, Mr. O'Malley was talking about how they would go back and try to recover this evidence. They're actually back on the 5 freeway looking for the items that were thrown out the window, and so far one has been confirmed to be found, and the CHP officer there on the ground describes it as a power saw.
Yeah, that's going to be the way that they get underneath the vehicle, use that on either side of the catalytic converter, and just basically saw it out of there and pry it out of there. So they are throwing, in addition to those parts, tools out onto the highway.
Because that's all evidence.
And that's all evidence. I understand that a black bag has been recovered by one of those CHP officers that is hanging back and picking up all that evidence. And you might imagine a black bag with these 3 suspects means that's probably their power tools that they use to go from vehicle to vehicle to get underneath to grab, the bag to take out those catalytic converters. So they got a lot of evidence that they have recovered from this, and that's quite surprising when you saw that they were throwing out these items at highway speeds that you would think that they would easily disappear on the side of the road. But CHP, you get 3 units now here behind them, but you see they have the frame of mind to see what has happened, to be organized enough to have some of those back units slow down to pick up that very crucial evidence that will help prosecute all three of these suspects.
And this is, like you said, crucial evidence because this is actually what they're wanted for, aside from evading the CHP, evading any kind of law enforcement right now. That's what else they're going to be wanted for later on down the line. Now reaching speeds of over 100 miles per hour on the 5 freeway. We are now in the South Orange County area in Irvine. As we mentioned, this started in Costa Mesa. We believe 2 thefts happened in the city of Costa Mesa, and that's what started this whole chase with the Costa Mesa Police Department.
That seriously is gonna happen
north for a little while,
with all of the things. We know, we already know.
South, and now we're going further south down into Orange County, and we wonder when this person is going to run out of gas. This is a gas guzzler, Jeff.
For sure, absolutely. And you just wonder how much gas they have in there. Hey, Sergeant, I'm going to ask you a question. In situations like this, CHP obviously has the license plate of this SUV. This is not a stolen SUV. I'm sure that this would be somebody connected
that's
to
not a
one
stolen
of those 3 people
SUV.
inside, if not related
That's
to them
correct.
somehow.
I think, yeah, I
Would
think,
they
yeah, that's
have
correct.
enough information at this point that they could back off, knowing that
They
the
could
info
back
that they
up.
have, to go pick them up later? We know that
Go
we've
pick
seen
them
that,
up. They
and I'm
have
just
to go
wondering. I'm
pick
not
them up
suggesting that they do
later.
that, but I know there have
They
been
do
times
that,
where they can get
but
enough
many
information
times.
based on the license plate. They're probably making phone calls to whatever that license plate comes
1
to.
o'clock.
Tell us a little bit about what you think's going on behind the scenes to further this case. Not
Further
with just,
this case.
pursuing the vehicle, but also investigating it and to getting information as to who's inside.
Yeah, if it does have license plates, that's a whole other factor.
If it does have license
this
plate,
type of vehicle is a
whole
commonly
other
stolen
factor,
vehicle. So it could have what they call
community,
community somebody else's license
commonly
plates on it
stolen
that belong to
vehicle,
a Chevy, so they
what
really
that
don't
belongs
know
to a
if the car
Chevy,
is stolen or not. It might
the
not have
car is
license
stolen,
plates.
if the car is stolen
if you
or
run
not.
the plate and it comes back to an address,
They do run the plate.
in the general area, they will have officers go there and wait to see if the car comes back there. But at this point in time, that's just the registered owner of the vehicle. So you don't know who's driving. You don't know if the registered owner is in the vehicle, and you don't know any of the occupants in the vehicle. And everybody in the vehicle is involved with this current crime of stealing the catalytic converters.
Current crime of stealing the
catalytic vehicle. Just as part of this overall investigation that you were talking about, where they recovered a lot of the evidence. Now they just want to get the suspects and take everybody to jail safely.
Stealing
if
a
you are
catalytic
just joining us here on Cape Online News Today, this is breaking news, and we've been following this chase for the good part
if you're
of
watching my
almost 30
video
minutes
today,
now, since the top of the 8 o'clock newscast.
This chase been going on for the better part,
for the better, they are wanted for stealing a catalytic converter. And this started in the city of Costa Mesa in Orange County. It went up the 5 freeway
20 to 30
into the
minutes
Norwalk
or
area
so
and then came back
since
down south.
the police started this chase.
After
It
some very
started
aggressive moves, and on the right side of your screen is where
in
we're
the same
showing
area,
you some of the
in the
different
same
maneuvers
area.
that this person was doing on the freeway. My goodness,
nearly a few hours ago.
Remember that?
Just clearing all sides of the freeway. I mean, it's
2 or 3
incredible.
hours
Swerving
ago,
all over the place,
or I think,
and at
I'm
one
not
point
sure,
going over
maybe
100
an hour
miles per
ago,
hour on the freeway.
maybe an
We did
hour
notice one
ago,
time that
they've
were
been
trying
following
to do
this
a pit
vehicle,
maneuver. We
and
believe
this is
they
also
did,
that,
in fact,
also,
do it, but it was not
you just
successful.
saw that.
They were able to turn that car around.
That wouldn't be
but,
funny.
it
That's
did not
not a
stop
funny
and
thing to
kept
laugh.
on going, and that's
Now
when we
they've been
started back on the
pursuing this
5 freeway,
vehicle
but southbound
for an
this
excess of
time,
30
and
minutes
we are now
now.
in the South Orange County area in Mission Viejo, and I
watch us
believe
in
a
a-
different CHP jurisdiction will be taken over pretty soon if they continue.
I'm going to call an audible here and talk directly to my producer and director, Mike. Mike, could you bring that video back up on the inset box? Because we want to show you these 3 suspects wanted for stealing catalytic converters. Obviously, that comes with tools needed to steal those. We believe that they were throwing those catalytic converters, their tools, a tool bag out of the vehicle. Now, on the right-hand part of your screen, you're going to see just behind that white SUV, just in front of the CHP Cruiser, some sparks fly. That would be the parts, the tools that they were throwing out of the window, obviously trying to get rid of evidence. This is the pursuit that occurred earlier. It was unsuccessful. But here you will see some of those sparks fly right there. A trail of sparks as they're throwing items out of that moving vehicle. We slowed it down for you here. This is on a highway. Thankfully, it's not in an area where that would start a wildfire, because it could. if we were in a more
there
rural
would
area.
start a
That was one of those
wildfire,
situations where,
and that was so
Susie,
scary.
Suspects had a frame of mind to throw all that evidence out, but guess what? CHP had a unit behind, and we can report to you they've been able to collect most of that evidence.
Absolutely. We do want to mention for our viewers right now that we are thinking about safety first and foremost for our crew up in Sky 9, obviously, and if we continue in this direction going down the southbound 5 freeway, we are going to be hitting some clouds, and that is when we have to stop there because we can't be in those clouds, obviously, for flight restriction reasons. But we want to continue to follow this here just as long as we can for you, just give you another update on what we have been following for the good part of 30 minutes now here on KCAL 9 News Today. Breaking news. 3 people wanted in a catalytic converter theft, and the CHP in pursuit started with the Costa Mesa Police Department, went up the 5 freeway northbound, and went all over the freeway and squeezing in between lanes on the shoulders, driving at 100 miles per hour. We heard before we even joined the chase with Sky 9 that they were driving on the wrong side of the road even. So some serious dangerous moves out there today for sure, but the CHP not giving this one up.
And normally we'd be listening to Desmond Shaw giving us the play-by-play. He's off tonight, but we have instead Sergeant Patrick O'Malley, who is standing by, retired police officer, to give us his insight and information. So, Sergeant, as you take a look as they're going into a wide open, how often do you see that? I guess that would be northbound. The southbound lanes look really backed up in that live picture. I don't know if it's because of construction or whatnot.
Now,
when you take a look at this pursuit at this point in time, what do you have to say?
Well, they're on the southbound 5, so now they're down in that area that's going to keep going down towards San Clemente and Carlsbad, and then if they keep on going, Oceanside all the way down to the border. So from here on out, like you said, you can see the clouds and that ocean cover that's coming in. They'll just keep on going probably until they run out of gas.
Well, wouldn't that be nice if they did? Because it'd be over at that point, wouldn't
exactly. And I imagine that will happen soon, given the car, given the gas guzzler that it is. It depends, of course, if we're talking about how much gas they actually started with. It's unclear. We have no idea, but hopefully that happens soon. But as we keep watching this here on KCAL 9, you can see our shot from Sky 9 being pulled out just a bit, only because we have to stay above certain restrictions and things like that, and we have to keep within those restrictions for our safety. And we have to make sure when it's cloudy like this outside. Evelyn's been talking about that, how the clouds have been rolling in and cooling us down, that's for sure, but certainly not good news for...
we're getting a wider shot here. I'd like to go back to Sergeant O'Malley. Sergeant, I want to ask you a question. When this ends, we got 3 suspects. We're taking a wide shot here of the cloud coming in, so we're going to have to leave this pursuit. But I want to ask you, Sergeant O'Malley, when this does end, and we have 3 suspects inside of a vehicle, they can go any which way. What do police have to do to get all 3 of them in custody?
Well, the problem they may run into now is that the same problem the Channel 9 helicopter is going to have with the clouds, the police helicopters will also have. So now they will, I went on that last shot, I did see about 5 or 6 CHP units.
We did see about 5 or 6 CHP units. It's a bit cloudy,
as they're passing.
73
and then once they stop, they'll go, have enough units to go after all the suspects in the car, and just depending on what city it ends in, or if it ends on the freeway. So then once it does end, then they have the original handling agency where the catalytic converters were stolen will respond to the termination point, and they will take all the suspects with them back to the city that it occurred, and the CHP will just have been an assisting agency.
Okay, we've been speaking with retired police sergeant Patrick O'Malley on the phone here to give us information about this pursuit. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Really appreciate that.
Okay, let's go to Evelyn. You have a real quick team.
Yes, so anyway, thanks for watching. Check out this video pops up here. Bam. I'll see you guys in the next video later on right now. So before we wrap this up, we're going to watch a converter theft, catalytic converter theft. Alright guys, today we're going to be watching chase suspect pros catalytic converters parts onto South Cal Freeway. Let's get into it.
now getting back on the freeway on the southbound side of the freeway, off the side of the road, and now back on the shoulder. CHP not giving it up, though. They're getting right onto the freeway with him.
Breaking news, a wild and dangerous pursuit crisscrossing a number of LA freeways. Reporter Chris Christie live overhead on Air 7 calling it all.
This is a wild and dangerous driver on the loose, now heading back towards Orange County, southbound side of the 5 freeway, weaving through a lot of Friday night traffic, posing a really serious threat to every motorist on the 5 freeway right now. A little bit of damage to that rear bumper, that you can see something dangling off of the driver's, it looks like the taillight. That taillight is dangling from the rear left side of the vehicle.
The pursuit is about to get more dangerous as the crew in the Chevy Tahoe starts tossing onto the freeway, sending up showers of sparks.
Oh, there he goes, and something's getting thrown out.
I'm fine now.
Out of the vehicle. Looks like a power
I'm fine now, Mom.
At one point, we understand that they were possibly suspected of stealing catalytic converters, and those might be the tools that they used. Yeah, they are tossing evidence out the window, including power tools and, what was it, a jack? Yep, okay. A jack, some power drills, all kinds of stuff flying out of that passenger window.
This pursuit continuing south on the 5 freeway. That's where a heavy marine began moving in, stopping Air 7 from pursuing this danger any further. But the CHP had no trouble following and pursuing this SUV all the way to San Diego County. And we have new video just in. Here it is. This is from San Diego, where a spike strip finally brought that speeding Tahoe to a stop. 3 people taken into custody.
They brought that speeding Tahoe to a stop. So I'm gonna edit that video.
The 3 ran from the disabled Tahoe, tried to get away, hiding in the thick brush just off the freeway, but they were quickly apprehended and handcuffed. Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel. And download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.
Anyway, thanks for watching. Check out this video. And be sure to my channel pop up here. See you guys in the next video tomorrow. Bye, guys.
It's the hardest working month of the year.